Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies, and comrades, I hope you're doing well. This is Kenyan Revolutionary. I'm here today after a short break, but I'll also be short and brief because I know it's really late. It's late in Kenya. So karibuni sana, karibuni sana, karibuni sana. Karibuni. I'm going to give you a minute just to settle down, grab yourself a seat if you need to grab a seat. Tafadhali, Mr. Gandhi. Go ahead and find yourself a place to, locate your, pull a seat, kachini. But we have to keep on going. The first order of business before I get in or start my the orodha kipindi. The first order of business is to do what? Is to like the video. The first order of business, very first order of business is to like the video. So go ahead and like the video. Like the video. If this is your first time on this channel, please recognize that we talk about Kenyan politics and world politics as it relates to Kenya. So if it's your first time and you would like to take part in these discussions, you like what we're talking about, you like the channel or whatever, you're interested, please go ahead and subscribe. If not, please don't bother. You can just come in and watch and just hang out, comment on the comment section, put in the chat or whatever the case is. If you're going to watch this on repeat, like majority of you, that's fine too. You can always subscribe. If you don't want to subscribe, that's okay. You don't have to pay anything. It's free to subscribe. But the first order of business is to do what? Like the video. Anyway, let's get started. There's so much happening. This is just a quick overview of what's happening in Kenya. There's so much happening. There's so much happening. There's so much. Mambo mingi sana. So vuta kiti tukae. But I won't waste your time because time is precious. Let's start. Matiang'i is running for president. Ruto is in China, went to borrow some more money. And this time he took somebody with him, somebody notable, somebody that had majority of the people, Kenyans, scratching their heads. Like, what's going on? What in the world is going on? You know why? Because it was none other than the brother to the former second Prime Minister of Kenya, Raila Odinga's brother, Oburu Odinga, the octogenarian, the old man. He's actually older than Raila Odinga. So this guy is probably 155 years old. But many people are left scratching their heads because they are wondering, what is Oburu Odinga doing in China? Like, what is Oburu Odinga? He's a senator for CI or whatever the case is. Everybody in CI is related to Raila Odinga, okay? I think his cousin, nephew, whatever the case is, was the CFO is CFO of the county government, whatever the case is, okay? Jack Odinga or something like that, okay? So this is all an incestuous kind of relationship. And by the way, it is said that Ruto actually dated Raila Odinga's sister. It is rumored that at some point he dated Raila Odinga's sister. But you know what? I'm not into that. We're not into that. I'm not here to talk about the celebrity gossip or who's dating who. That's not my concern. I'm concerned about where our country, Kenya, is heading. So that's what I want my concentration to be on. But anyway, just to give you a brief before we talk briefly about what's going on, is that Ruto is in China, went to China. He went to beg them for some more money. I don't know what money for what. He's talking about SGR. And what really got people's scratching their heads is not only that he took with him Mr. Oburu Odinga, but his pronouncements. When he was given the microphone, he says something that was astounding, appalling to most of people. He said that, Kenya is a middle-class economy. They are well off, way better than Uganda and Tanzania, and that's why Kenya doesn't have duty-free tax. Has duty-free tax. Was not duty-free. What am I saying? There's taxation if you bring in stuff in Kenya, okay? If you bring in Kenya, you'll be taxed. But if you go to Uganda, you don't get taxed for those stuff. So he was explaining to Chinese people that that's the reason why they'll be charged, but they want to come up with a solution where Kenya will not have to be, Kenya will have to, you'll have duty-free stuff. If you bring in stuff in Kenya, it will not be taxed. Whatever the case is. I'll play you a clip of that. That's what kind of everybody was like, huh? Ruto, what are you talking about? What are you actually talking about? I'll play the clip so you can actually see the context. I want to contextualize what I'm talking about. Not only that, we have Justin Sakaja, who is at JKL, talking about apparently there's a MCA who was really pushing for an audit of the Nairobi County books. He wants to find out where all these gazillions, millions, billions of money that flow through the Nairobi County system, financial system, where they going to? Can they be accounted for this money? And soon as this MCA made those pronouncements on TV, a few days or weeks later, or whatever the case is, this guy is said to have died in his house under very, very dubious, unusual circumstances that led people to start looking at Sakaja as the prime suspect. Sakaja had a very different, interesting take at JKL when that issue popped up. Of course, people are suspecting foul play because this guy, as soon as he mentioned the auditing of Nairobi gubernatorial financial stuff, this guy ended up dead. So I'll play that too, and we shall discuss that too. Now, what has been also brewing for the past week was this whole idea of the so-called, in my opinion, this whole man-made beef between Orengo and Raila Odinga. Of course, after that funeral of Mr. Adongo or Odongo, whatever the case is, that personal assistant for Raila Odinga, when Sifuna and most notably Orengo stood up and said, hey, listen, we cannot just join this government blindly and support them while we had Gen Zs walking around, fighting for the rights and for the struggle of Kenyans, okay? The economic struggles the Kenyans are going through. So we can't just join a government like that purporting to be helping the government, while this government also is the very government that gunned down our supporters. We cannot continue like this. So this kind of didn't sit well with some quarters on the ODM party, and now Orengo is being viewed as the villain within the party. But is it really a genuine beef? Do you honestly think Orengo would actually stand up as he has against his boss, Raila Odinga? Because remember, Raila Odinga's official position on that matter is that he is supporting the president, but a lot of people are not supporting the president. Could it be, and this is the question I want to pose to you, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends and comrades, could it be that this is a man-made, well-calculated a beef to give a waning popularity of the ODM party? Could it be a sorry attempt at actually wooing the Raila supporters that were almost leaving ODM to actually see that this ODM is not entirely supporting Ruto's government? Are they trying to give the people who left ODM when they heard that Raila Odinga has entered into an agreement with Ruto into trying to help Ruto in this government, those people who lost faith in Raila Odinga and the ODM party, is it an attempt to lure them back by actually considering what Agre Orengo said, to lure them back, to make them feel like, you know what, even within this ODM, there are some of them that are still against Ruto, because the general consensus, not only within ODM, but countrywide, is that Ruto must go. So could it be that this is a plan by Raila Odinga for him to try to lure back those who might be thinking of leaving ODM? Because if you are to look at the wall, or if you are to look at the weather forecast, the political weather forecast, heading up to 2026, as we know, where we might have a general election, ODM does not stand a good chance. Those representatives, ODM representatives and their specific respective constituency, those current MPs, MCAs, governors, and all whatever that are going to the polls in the next general election, if they go there singing kumbaya songs in support of Kasongo, they might not win their political seats. They might not come back as the representative of their constituency because, like I said, the general consensus countrywide is that Ruto is driving Kenya's economy to a ditch. In fact, he's not even driving into a ditch. He is driving Kenya over the cliff. He's driving Kenya not only on a turmoil, but towards a tornado. Ruto is destroying Kenya. Now, let's get started. Let's start with some things that are happening. We shall start with his pronouncements when he was in China. He was talking in China somewhere where he was addressing the crowd. I don't know what kind of crowd he was entertaining, but I'm assuming that crowd was Chinese population or whatever the case is. But let's just listen in to what he had to say, because a majority of you maybe never had the chance to listen to him. You know, it's like I said, this guy comes up with, he is just amazing. He's amazing. He's amazing. And I don't mean that in a complimentary way. I'm just saying Ruto's shithousery is at an all-time. He's record breaking in that front. Okay, so let's play that clip and then let's see what this man actually says. Then we'll come right back. Let me play that as I do. Please, ladies and gentlemen, take a minute and like the video. Let's go. All right, here is Ruto. Let's listen to Ruto. Kasongo mwenyewe, Kasongo, Kasongo. Okay, there it is.
Our neighbors, Tanzania, Uganda.
Hold on. All right, here it is, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. Let's get started. Let me
just explain to you why sometimes people find it easy to go to Uganda or Tanzania for purposes of getting goods and services to this country. It is exactly the problem I want to solve by signing the bilateral labor agreement. You know, the difference between us and our neighbors is that Kenya is in the middle income category. Our neighbors, Tanzania, Uganda, and all the other neighbors are in the least developed countries. They are in LCDs, LDC, and we are in the other. So we are categorized higher than them, and therefore, while they export duty-free, Kenya exports with duty. And that is why you heard me say, that is the agreement we want to negotiate. We want to negotiate a preferential trade agreement that will now put Kenya at par with our neighbors. You will not be experiencing the problems you are experiencing today.
One more time. This is just for shits and giggles. Come on.
Just explain to you why sometimes people find it easy to go to Uganda or Tanzania for purposes of getting goods and services to this country. It is exactly the problem I want to solve by signing the bilateral labor agreement. You know, the difference between us and our neighbors is that Kenya is in the middle income category. Our neighbors, Tanzania, Uganda, and all the other neighbors are in the least developed countries. They are in LCDs, LDCs, and we are in the other. So we are categorized higher than them, and therefore, while they export duty-free, Kenya exports with duty. And that is why you heard me say, that is the agreement we want to negotiate. We want to negotiate a preferential trade agreement that will now put Kenya at par with our neighbors. You will not be experiencing the problems you are experiencing today.
Okay. So, hold on. Wait a minute. So this guy, if you want to know that he doesn't know what the heck he's talking about, he first says Tanzania and Uganda are LCDs. It's actually LDCs. He doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. Well, basically, LDCs, for those of you who might be wondering what he's talking about, LDCs just means least developed countries. So he's basically saying that Kenya is a middle class economy. We are in the middle. We are not on the bottom. According to Ruto, we are doing well. Tuko middle class. Hatuja sambaratika. We are not broke. Tuko middle class. We are doing well. According to Ruto. To him, Uganda and Tanzania are lacking behind. And like Atticus, my dear friend who I haven't seen for a long time, nice seeing you, my brother. Please go ahead and like the video. He's saying, by saying preferential agreement, he's saying he's cutting out the East African community. And here he's saying, Atticus continues saying, the EAC should theoretically be negotiating as a bloc. Okay? Then Atticus continues say, on a separate note, Kenya should not be in on trading bloc with countries that have smaller economies. Again, I do not support Ruto. Okay. Before I make arguments for economic blocks, let's concentrate on individual economies. Because Ruto's pronouncements, especially when he says that Kenya is a middle class economy, he's not economical with the truth. That's not what I'm saying. Trying to say, I'm saying, I think it's flat out lying. You cannot say that Kenya is a middle class economy. It's not. Kenya is the very LDC he's actually describing. Least developed countries, low-income countries that face significant challenges in achieving sustainable development due to low social economic indicators and high vulnerabilities to economic and environmental shocks. Yes, Atticus, I agree with you that Kenya is definitely not what? Is definitely not a middle class economy. Ruto is lying through his teeth without batting an eyelid. What kind of sustainable development do we have in Kenya? What kind of social economic indicators can we point to and say this is what qualifies Kenya as a middle class economy? They calculate this income thing using GDP. For those of you who do not know what GDP is, I think it's a gross domestic product. Okay, what the country makes as a whole. So you can individualize this per capita or whatever the case is. Somebody, where the economist, please enter the chat. Includes debt. So a higher debt level will mislead and show a higher GDP. So I think what Atticus is saying, if you take debt, let's say 5 billion, and pump it into the economy, on paper it says that it's income. And you might say, oh, Kenya is making money. Is Ninio. Oh, gross domestic product. Thank you very much for the correct Ninio. Yes. I was close. Okay? So you might say, oh, the Kenya is doing good because they have 5 trillion in the bank. But on the books, this is actually borrowed money that we need to pay back. But if you do a proper audit on the Kenyan economy, you try to see which sectors are producing, how many people are employed, how much money they are making, their income. The industries we have in Kenya, and you compare it, the income we have, and the debt we owe, and how long it will take us to pay for this debt. If you do that calculation, you can pretty much tell economically we are not at a good place. Thank you. There's no factories. What are we producing? Even if you talk about farming, because we are an agroeconomy, we are not producing it now. Notice how when the Burkina Faso president, Junta, Ibrahim Traore, the first thing he started doing when he got into power is to nationalize almost everything. All the industries, he nationalized this. And after nationalizing every industry, the next thing he did was to do what? Increase production. America became the superpower, the world leading superpower in 1940s, 1945, after the World War II, or during that World War II. That's when defined. America became the sole superpower, or rather a world force economically, because they were producing. If you went to Michigan, the economy was booming because it was known for producing cars, Ford, and everybody else. Even the women were included in the workforce. That's when the change, the social economic change was happening. The movements, the women movements were on the streets. They wanted equal pay. Minorities. I'm saying that in order for an economy to be healthy, you have to produce. Si ati unaenda hapo unaboro sijui bilioni ngapi. How much debt do we have in Kenya? Is it, I think it's 10 trillion. Is it 10 trillion? We should call Okiya Mtata. Most of the debt that was incurred didn't even reach the consolidated fund. This went to private banks, people who ate the money. If you see Oburu accompanying Ruto to the Chinese, what do you think is happening? Oburu knows something. Yes, Atticus is telling me elections are 18th August 2026, by the way. Is it official? Please help me. Or are you making the last argument I was making? I agree with you, Atticus, especially after, thanks to that lawyer, what's his name? Willis Otieno, who brought that issue up. The elections should be ideally, lawfully, if we are to go by the Constitution, it should be held on the 18th. Second Tuesday in the 5th year as per the Constitution, yes. And I like the discussion I had with somebody on that video, I think, what's his name? Francis Irungu, I think, who corrected me, or, and I concur with his view, which Atticus is also making here, which basically says the argument, the thesis of the whole Francis submission is the election date is fixed, and it is not determined by the presidential cycle. Should I repeat? The presidential, let me not say presidential, let me say general elections. The date for the general elections is not determined by the presidential term cycle. So even if Ruto officially took power 3 years after the election day, it does not change the fact that the election should be held in Angoa in second Tuesday in the 5th year as per the Constitution, as Atticus have told us. Are we understanding each other? Yes. Thank you very much. So it does not matter when Ruto was sworn in. The Constitution says on the what? 5th year from the previous election date, as Article 101 and 136 respectively. Go look at it. Yes, I agree with you. Yes. So people are saying Ruto is mad. So that is what is happening. He's in China borrowing money. Money that most likely you will not see or spend or know when it came to whether it will reach the consolidated fund or not. But very soon, let me give a prediction. I think that money is going to be used, part of it will be used to bribe, you'll be used to fanya ukarabati for the next general election so that Ruto can be re-elected. I'll repeat again. The money that Oburu Odinga and Ruto went to take there in China is going to be used for ukarabati, which means bribing and all other nefarious actions that will help Ruto stay in power in the next general election. Do I hear you? Okay. Okay. In fact, the only MCA who have a full 5-year term as per the only MCAs. Okay. All right. I didn't know that. Every other elected official has 4-year term. Okay. Uhuru serves 2 4-year terms with a few months extra to give or take. I'm glad he's gone. Remember, Uhuru was so bad that people were saying, Maliza Wende. And then we had Ruto. The next one. So what I'm saying is this, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. I keep on saying that the problem in Kenya is not that we don't have laws that address the problems that we face. The laws are there in the books. The laws are there, printed. Very, very legibly. You can read them. The problem is some people, these police, and they use their money influence to inflict and even kill anyone who challenges their what? Hiyo tabia yao ya impunity. So the problem is law enforcement. And when I say law enforcement, I don't mean that we don't have the police to enforce the law. Not only the police is responsible to enforce laws, it is the whole judicial system, plus all the independent bodies that, through the constitution, and including every arm of government, from the executive, judiciary, and legislative body, everyone should observe the law and make sure it is implemented as it was intended to by the framers. The problem is that we have these laws, but when the political class do not like these laws, what do? They come with a wanaanza kuleta ile story ya sijui BBI, sijui bridges, to sijui nini, sijui national, sijui what is this thing they're calling? Broad base, sijui nini. They start dancing around the law, and they even change the law by bribing. Ukipinga unakufa. Yes. Mchezo mingi ndio inaleta shida. We need Ibrahim Traore. We need somebody, not somebody, we need a people. It shouldn't be one person, it should be everybody. But in reality, we know that everybody can't do that. But we need enough strong people to stand up and say, Raila and Ruto, you cannot continue with this broad-based government because it is not constitutional. We need somebody who can come and say, Matiang'i, you are not qualified to run for any public office because if you're looking at your history, you have court orders which you refused to obey to this day. So you are not qualified to occupy a constitutional office to implement the constitution or become the head of a state. If you don't even respect the judiciary, you don't respect the law of the land, your name is smeared, smudged in scandal after scandal, verifiable, proven evidence that you took part in dumping bodies in River Yala. You and your boss Uhuru Kenyatta, with Martha Karua on the back, clapping at you. And these are the very people who want to come in and pretend that they're running for president in 2026 or 2027 or whenever we are going to have that. People who don't respect the constitution. People who feel that they're above the law. My candidate is Mtata. I hope he connects with Wanjigi and Willis Otieno. Those three are real powerhouse. I have my reservations about everyone you've mentioned there. They're saying good things, but I have my own reservations. I think I've mentioned it before. With the exception of Willis Otieno. Willis Otieno, I know he's Jimmy Wanjigi's lawyer, but I don't think politically he has been active. I don't know. Let me do my homework on him, but I like his train of thought. I like how he argues. Yes. But Wanjigi, no. Wanjigi definitely is a no. I do not trust him. I do not trust him. I do no. Anyone who tells you that Ruto and Uhuru's government was formed in his living room and tells you that he has Uhuru Kenyatta in his speed dial and is friends with Raila Odinga. No. Omtata, very fishy guy, says very good things, but I'll dig up. There's something about Omtata. Something. I know. I was disappointed when he announced that he's running for president because we know the system is corrupt. So I don't know why he's still running. Willis Otieno, I don't know about him. So to be fair, I can't say, but he's saying good things, Right. Wanjigi, no. Yeah, he has some baggage. Not even baggage. He has a whole, not even, the whole baggage claim is his. Yeah, so I'm saying no. But Matiang'i should be in jail. Matiang'i should be arrested by the citizens, okay, and stripped naked and frog marched to the nearest police station and whipped, lashed, receive a proper traditional lashing. They should do that while he's naked. Whipped, lashed while he's naked. 57 lashes. And he should not be fed. Matiang'i should not be running for president. Matiang'i is not even qualified to run for chief of Southern Mugirango. Martha Karua is a thug. A pretender, flat-footed pretender with her frog eyes, always acting as if she's fighting for the rights of the people. She's the one who was receiving money from the the West. Pretending. Kalonzo is a waste of space. Kalonzo is a waste of oxygen. Kioni does not exist politically. Maraga should not destroy his good name by running for presidency in 2027 or 2026. What else is happening over here? The governor for Nairobi. Madimples, as they call him. Sakaja should be in committee. Sakaja should be in committee. Maximum prison. He should be tied next to a tree. Hog-tied. Naked. And fed only water. And halfly baked beans. Nyoyo. And cabbage. And every evening, someone should be kicking him in the teeth. Didi Nyoro was making a point. Didi Nyoro should spare us his nonsense with the talking about, now we shouldn't borrow more. I like when that comedian, what is his name, Juguna, whatever the case is, say that, these politicians, they talk so well when they are in They are the greatest political activists when they are kicked out of the government. When they stop eating, they will be the biggest activists. Now they'll tell you what's wrong with the Kenya. But we're in the governments, just like Malala. Ndindi, when was with Ruto, Ndindi was not saying these things. Now ameona siasa inaenda mbaya huko mlima. He knows akikaa na Ruto he will not be re-elected. Just like Nani, what is this Gachagua? You know, some people are excited about Gachagua. Gachagua, sijui Gachagua. And I like what people ask him. Gachagua, if you knew all these things while you were in Aninio, wewe ulingoja ukakuwa impeached ndio unaanza kutupigia makelele hapa. All of a sudden you've become clever. To quote Kibaki. all of a I like that clip. I should find it. Yeah. All of a sudden you've become clever. Wacha hiyo bwana. I think all of us same with ODM, yes. Kaluma should be in Kodiaga. Kaluma should be in Kodiaga maximum prison. Chained. In a supine position. Naked. Kicked every day. Tortured. I'm for torture. These leaders need to feel the pain that the parents of Baby Pendo felt. The pain that Chris Musando's family went through. The pain that Baby Mora went through. The pain. This is what they need to go through. That's when we shall call it justice. Yeah, alisafisha meno. They should be. Watu mimi nawaambia. You know, sometimes Kenya needs an Idi Amin. By the way, Idi Amin was a good leader. Aliharibiwa tu jina, wacha niwaambie tu ukweli. But anyway, let's not get beside ourselves. These people, these politicians, Kenyan politicians, they disrespect, treat Kenyan citizens with contempt, utter contempt. They even think of you like less of a human. If you go to Kibera and other places in Kenya where people live in squalid living conditions, and your president stands in an international podium and says that you're a middle-class economy, that is a spit on the Kenyan poor people's faces. Kipchumba Murkomen should be chained in committee. I saw this arrogant Somali guy. What's his name? Farah Maalim. Kenya, we need to be serious. You cannot let somebody talk there. And he actually had the audacity and said and told Natembeya that Natembeya does not belong to Kenya. The hubris. And you let this person walk around as if he Kenya ni yake. Aden Duale. Saa ingine unasikilianga hivi unasema hawa watu, are they serious? Kenyan people should rise up. Kenyan people should rise up. Hii Kenya tuirudishe ikuwa ya wananchi. Hii Kenya ni ya wananchi bwana. Hii Kenya ni ya kabila zote. Tuache hii mchezo. Tusimameni. Tuache hii mchezo. Hii ni mchezo. Hii ni mchezo. Hii sasa ni oyoma mchezo. Raila should be in baraza la wazee. Nyumba ya wazee. Wakenya tusimame. Tuache mchezo. People should rise up. I see there's a new guy to alipost up. This was 2 days ago. Let me see here. No. Hao wanasiasa wanafaa wachomwe wote. Hakuna mtu anani. Hakuna. We should start. Hakuna. Hii ni mchezo sasa. Let me show you. Hii ni mchezo. Mnaweza kuona screen hapo? Justice for Munuve. Munuve is the MC ambaye alikufa. Alidedishwa. Prime suspect Johnson Sakaja. Sakaja's real last name is Chepkoilelo or something. Okay, let's read this. Justice for countrywide shutdown on the 28th April 2025. 28th ni lini? Can somebody tell me when 28th is? 4 days from now. That is Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Kenyans rise up. The sudden and suspicious death of Joel Munuve, the courageous MC of Kariobangi North, demands our collective outrage and action. Just days ago, Munuve boldly called for the impeachment of Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja, exposing alleged corruption and mismanagement in the county's school feeding program and other projects. Now he is gone, silenced under mysterious circumstances that have left the nation reeling. Speculation is rife that Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja killed Joel Munuve. This is not just a tragedy, it is a chilling attack on accountability and democracy. Munuve was a fearless voice for the people, a champion of transparency who dared to challenge the powerful. His death cannot be swept under the rug and as a mere coincidence. We call for protests across every county in Kenya, from Nairobi to Mombasa, Kisumu to Eldoret. Let our voices thunder in the streets, demanding, number one, a thorough independent investigation into Joel Munuve's death. 2, accountability for the response, including any links to Governor Sakaja's administration. 3, protection for whistleblowers and leaders who speak truth to power. Let us honor Munuve's legacy by standing united against corruption and impunity. Gather in your towns, cities, and villages. March, chant, and raise your placards high. Our message is clear. No more silence. No more suspicious death. Justice for Joel Munuve. Yes. Here is Sakaja, pretending to be a caring governor. Listen to this clown.
He collapsed at home.
He collapsed.
I don't know why you call it murder. I don't know. Maybe you have information, but the autopsy is tomorrow. At 8 a.m. And we've asked for a full investigation to understand what happened. Because I don't think he had a history of illness, but we'll let the professionals tell us. Death is a serious thing. Death is not something that we can, play with or politicize. He was very firm, and he was very passionate about the issues he believed in. And the times we disagreed, but then also the times we agreed. We sat down, we had meetings. And I really wish, I spoke to his brother this morning. His brother is called John Kimanzi. I've spoken to him again this evening. I know they're doing the autopsy, and we'll support the family. But all this is in the hands of God. But what we want, to allay all this, whatever political speculations could be there or whatever it is a full investigation into what happened to Mheshimiwa. Yeah.
And if something happens and the finger is pointed at certain individuals, will you all take action?
At the hand of God. See where this, at the hand. If you want to know that there's no justice in Kenya, the saddest thing that you can that usually happens. What did I want to be? Number one, remember, let me just remind you of a case. Remember when Kalwale's was it what do you call it? The young man that used to take care of Kalwale's cows, house help or whatever the case is, the young man, I forgot his name, that died. It was rumored that that young man was having an affair with Kalwale's youngest wife or something like this, because Kalwale was always in Nairobi, and bibi ako hapo kwa nyumba anasikia baridi, then the guy, there was rumors, but allegedly, yeah. So when the guy died, of course, the number one suspect was Kalwale, then the coroner was brought in to determine, what might have killed the young man, because the official report, Kalwale made a press conference with his fake cry saying that the guy was killed by by a bull. He came in from drinking, you happy, then the bull killed him. Stop it. But anyway, so the coroner nakuja hapo, and the coroner is holding a press conference, and the suspect, who is Kalwale, is at the site of the crime scene, potential crime scene, supervising what the coroner is saying. Where do they do that at? Ni kama unaleta suspect to investigate, akwa part of the process of evidence collecting process. Like, so you expect yeah, anyways, anyone mention God in politics, huyo ndio ati kazo cha kunichekesha. Anyone that mention God in politics, huyo ndio mwizi. He's the Munuve guy, the guy who departed. Let's just listen to his short here he was I think this is what a lot of people are saying. This is what it got him whacked, or hii ndio ilimfanya wamfanyie hiyo kitu. Let's just watch that clip real quick, because I think he was mentioning something that what's his name, Sakaja might not be a fan of. Okay, so here is Munuve, the late Munuve.
You say that everything is okay.
Hold on, Willem.
Everything is working, and there's nothing is working. If you go to my area.
Hold up. Let me make it bigger and play you the bomb buckler thing, Stay far from taboo.
The other day I said that we needed my area. Now,
sorry,
the other
guys.
day I
sorry,
said
guys.
that we needed to impeach the governor because of incompetence.
You hear that?
We want a forensic audit to be done. What has he done with the money that he claims he collects every day? How many companies have been paid? Why were they paid? Which services were rendered? We see. Because as it is, How can one person buy more than 17 top-of-range vehicles? How? Where did you get that money from? We need to know all these things. Again, there was an investigation that was being carried here in this institute against corruption. It is stopped. Why did it stop? Those are the things that we need to know. Because we cannot just be blind and say that everything is okay, everything is working, and there's nothing is working. If you go to my area, now garbage is on the road. Why is it on the road? Because people who are contracted to pay, to collect the garbage are not paid. They are not paid. You go to my area, there's no social hall.
So do you feel intimidated?
Me, I don't. You see, even if they want to come for me, there's no problem. Let them come for me. Because what I was elected by my people to say what it is just and fair. Have you? Of course, I know they are not happy that I'm saying these things.
So
I know they
are
are
you
not happy.
collecting signatures right now?
Yes, of course, I'm collecting signatures, and I've already collected some. And since yesterday, when I started to collect the signatures, the leadership colluded with the governor, and they've removed me from all the groups. There are groups for assembly, there are groups for Azimio, and I don't know who gave them the right, because under the constitution, I have a right to speak my mind.
Yeah. So you see, he was speaking strongly against Sakaja's administration on the county level, Nairobi, saying that, where is Sakaja getting all this money? I mean, this guy is popping out the latest cars. He has money. Where is this coming from? Well, we have garbage all over the country.
The other day, I said that we needed to impeach the governor because of incompetence. Number one, we want a forensic audit to be done. What has he done with the money that he claims he collects every day? How many companies have been paid? Why were they paid? Which services were rendered? We see. Because as it is, how can one person buy more than 17 top-of-range vehicles? How? Where did you get that money from? We need to know all these things. Again, there was an investigation that was being carried here in this institute against corruption. It is stopped. Why did it stop? Those are the things that we need to know. Because we cannot just be blind and say that everything is okay, everything is working, and there's nothing is working. If you go to my area, now garbage is on the road. Why is it on the road? Because people who are contracted to pay, to collect the garbage are not paid. They are not paid. You go to my area, there's no social hall.
So do you feel intimidated?
Me, I don't. You see, even if they want to come for me, there's no problem. Let them come for me. Because what I was elected by my people to say what it is just and fair. Have you? Of course, I know they are not happy that I'm saying these things.
So
I know they
are
are
you
not happy.
collecting signatures right now?
Yes, of course, I'm collecting signatures, and I've already collected some. And since yesterday, when I started to collect the signatures, the leadership colluded with the governor, and they've removed me from all the groups. There are groups for assembly, there are groups for Azimio, and I don't know who gave them the right, because under the constitution, I have a right to speak my mind.
Yeah. What's sad is that, in Kenya, if you're a stand-up guy, if you stand up for what's just and what's right, and you ask the right questions, you get eliminated. That's how corrupt, rotten the system is. Doing good can actually get you killed. Just imagine. The guy was simply asking something that people are asking. Nairobians want clean roads, clean streets. They want the service delivery. All the uchafu itoke. They want system to work. Wewe Sakaja unanunua magari, uko na nyumba South Africa, uko na nyumba LA, Los Angeles, uko na manyumba sijui wapi. Magari uko nayo Range Rover hapo, Nairobi, Mercedes, sijui nini, Rolls Royce, ndio hiyo. Pesa unatoa wapi? Na ukiulizwa pesa umetoa wapi, you cannot answer. Lakini pesa umejaa nayo. In fact, this guy is running around Nairobi playing NAS. Yeah? Anajiona Obama ukimwona ati madempo. He thinks is Obama ati ameka hapo KJKL ati sijui anajifanya muungwana. Bloody comdial. Where? And a man who understands his role as the MCA is asking the basic, fundamental, rudimentary questions that any concerned citizen who sees that the system has failed would ask. That there's a disconnect between the lavish lifestyle of the governor and his associates and the state of affairs when it comes to service delivery, the infrastructure, the corrupt political makeup, ghost workers, so you name it. The simple questions, innocent, good intended, that this man asked Munuvu, he ends up, ati amecollapse kwa nyumba. Nani, wacha mchezo bwana. He seemed healthy. Mnataka kusema ni Corona ameshatoka. The person who does visit Corona has he written a report ile wamepata ati nini imeua huyo mtu. Tunaambiwa ati alicollapse kwa nyumba yake. Wacheni mchezo nani? Wacheni mchezo. Nani? Sakaja. Sakaja wacha mchezo. Sakaja wacha kutupima akili. Sakaja. He collapsed. How do you he looks relatively young. I assume he's less than 50 years. Ati ana collapse tu kwa nyumba yake, ametoka kwa nyumba. Mbona haku collapse hizo siku zingine kabla hajasema hiyo? Sakaja tunakukujia mpaka uende jela. Sakaja wewe Sakaja unaenda jela, tunakupeleka jela. In fact hatukupeleki jela, tutakupeleka Uhuru Park na utanyongwa Sakaja, uchi, asubuhi na mapema. Sakaja unatupima kili wewe, ati alicollapse ati alicollapse. Anyway, our favorite politician said that she's running for president.
Ile kiti mimi nauliza ni ya urais, na ndivyo kama mama niweze kutunza Kenya vile mama anatunza Mboma.
Let's listen to our favorite.
Ile kiti mimi nauliza ni ya urais, na ndivyo kama mama niweze kutunza Kenya vile mama anatunza Mboma. Mama hawezi kuacha mtoto hata moja kulala njaa. Hata chakula ikiwa kidogo inagawa kidogo kidogo, kisha kila mtu akapata. Hata mtu akipita anapatiwa yake kidogo. Keki ya Kenya tunataka igawe kwa usawa, sio vile inagawa siku hizi. Mumejaribu wanaume siku hizo zote, tafadhali wakati huu jaribuni mama kwa PLP. Ile kiti mimi nauliza ni ya urais, na ndivyo kama mama niweze kutunza Kenya vile mama anatunza Mboma. Mama hawezi kuacha mtoto hata moja kulala.
Need I say more? So Martha Karua, her biggest qualification for running for president is that she's a woman. Yeah, ni mama. So that qualifies her. I'll spare her for the day. last story that I want to address is Burkina Faso versus United States of America. Let's start with this pinhead called Senator Cheriot. This is a dimwit, an adjudicated lunatic, an imbecile. He said something quite fascinating in Parliament. I don't know when this was, but it's not even funny anymore how stupid this person is. You know, there's
to lose some of our most beloved president, like President Lumumba, was assassinated, Sankara and Kagame. Sankara and Kagame. These guys was taken out by their best friends. Some of them are also taken out by some of their own party members. These are the people who, not these, this politician, to be specific, the Kenyan senator on the Senate floor, propagating and repeating and spewing the same hate for Abraham Traore that the United Nations does, the Western countries does, and all the Western medias. Listen to this man, pushing the agenda of the United Nations and the European Union, propagating against Abraham Traore. Take a listen to this, and then you will discuss it a little further. Boom.
On a more serious note, there is something else, Senator Ledama, you need to check. You know, I followed, you said something that got my attention about Captain Ibrahim. Since coming into power by the bullet of Captain Ibrahim Traore, they have lost 40% more territory to the terrorists that were ravaging people.
Welcome back to the channel. So let's forego all the formalities. But this is bothering me. This Kenyan senator speak on the Senate floor against Abraham Traore, and these are the kind of politics.
Anyway, anyway, very quickly, Ibrahim Traore, I think he anticipates a military onslaught. Well, it already happened, but a confrontation, probably with the U.S. because the U.S. general, I forgot his name, he's a black general, the heads of the African whatever command center in Africa, you know, basically say that Abraham, karibu sana Gypsy, kona nice seeing you, my friend. Basically say that Ibrahim Traore is using the country's gold to protect himself and is not using that on people. I don't know what kind of universe this guy is talking about, but you know, they're basically trying to build a case against Ibrahim Traore, you know, trying to say that Traore is this, you know. Yeah, the name of the general is General Langley, U.S. General. Yeah, his name is Langley. Michael Langley, U.S. Marine Corps of the AFRICOM. Yes, basically, he went to the Senate floor and said, you know, not floor, but you know, hearing somewhere, presentation in Washington, and made a case against Ibrahim Traore, saying Traore is this, you know, he's a military junta who's, you know, running rogue, is not helping the people by the minerals that you have taken. If you haven't been following what is happening in Burkina Faso, let me tell you something. Africa's eyes is on the Sahel nation. Reason being that if the Sahel nation successfully rid itself, which they have partially, kind of, I mean, they have, but they're still struggling militarily to, you know, deal with the terrorists that are sponsored by the West. If the Sahel nations succeed to become this global superpower or a global force, and by that I mean a region, these three countries, Mali, Burkina Faso, and I think I forgot the last one. The three ones, Sahel nation. If they're able to defend themselves against the West, produce enough for their people, and become a regional economic superpower, that might result to a tsunami, political tsunami across the African continent, because already what the West fears is a lot of African nations are looking at Ibrahim Traore as the model for the new African way of governance, okay? They don't care about the constitution or whatever the case is. They just want a leader who is people-oriented. You understand? This guy came over, took control of every natural resources that have, from the uranium, gold, cotton, everything. They're just literally after 3 years, they're producing cars, electric cars, all this stuff. Because number one thing that he did was he kicked out the French, okay, and the French went and try to go through Ivory Coast to finance this terrorist group that are actually committing terror against the Burkinabe people, Burkinabes. And of course, we should highlight the fact that Russia is actually helping Burkina Faso in this whole ordeal, because they understand that Burkina Faso does not have, advanced military technology that can help them defend themselves against this superpower, the so-called superpowers, okay, or the West, okay. So what Russia is doing is saying, we are standing up with you, and actually there's new developments. They are helping Burkina Faso develop ICMs, intercontinental ballistic missiles, which can help them, defend themselves against, any military onslaught that might be coming from the neighboring countries or whatever the case is. I mean, countries like Nigeria or Ghana, these are they're being led by even Ruto, these people are just Western puppets. So if America was to take action, if the West wanted to take action against the Burkina Faso or Ibrahim Traore, they would use the African Union or their puppets like Ruto and so forth to send troops. Of course, they'll have to make up lies and say Ibrahim Traore is a terrorist, is killing people, that's why they keep on committing these atrocities, and they want to point a finger at Burkina Faso or that Ibrahim Traore. So they want to demonize him first, but that information war they're losing, because people are seeing what Ibrahim Traore is actually doing, okay? So there was even protest in Paris. Can you imagine? Some Africans protesting against Ibrahim Traore. I mean, how fun is that? But the point I'm trying to say is this. I always say that in order for Africa to rise, they have to have the capability, the capacity to defend their borders. I'm not buying into all Africa becoming one country. No, I'm not buying into it. Even though, someone might make an argument that, before the Europeans came in, before the Berlin Conference, Africa had no borders. We didn't have borders, but we actually did have borders, okay? There was all those kingdoms that we had, the Zulu kingdom, the I don't know, you name it, Mutapa, all those stuff. We had kind of understanding. There was, we lived side by side, but there was boundaries, okay? The Zulus had problems with whatever, the people, the Yoruba and the West with the Ankosa, whatever the case is, all the stuff, okay? So that's why I usually don't buy this argument of Africa without borders, because that's the globalist agenda. Okay, people still becoming one. Remember the Towers of Babel? The whole idea of Towers of Babel was about the new world order. People just staying in one government. The whole world have one government. Okay, and we are chaperoned as goats, herded as goats. No. People should have their individual culture and traditions. There's beauty in diversity. Okay, even though these people came in and demarcated Africa into these small pieces and made demarcations and call it Kenya and whatever, we can maintain that and still prosper. Okay, but what I'm trying to say, the only way we can be able to defend our own natural resources is if we have the capacity to defend our land, defend these natural resources that we have. Why is China a global superpower? China, the first thing they did once they start becoming rich, when they start getting rich, they not only build their infrastructure, build everything, they strengthen their military, because you cannot develop a country if the country is not stable. Okay, that's why these Western countries, these Western colonialists, always try to destabilize countries that they deem has the potential of rising up and becoming independent economically. So they prop up, oppositions, or they cause military coup d'etats and all other measures that they use to destabilize the country. And we have a place like Libya. I mean, look at Libya. Gaddafi had his own mistakes, but he actually, and he had a wonderful vision. So they made up some stuff and removed him, destabilized. And now, all those goals that Gaddafi had? Where do you think where did they go? Okay, all the oil fields that Libya enjoyed and had a prosperous economy, where is that oil going? Same thing. So that's a way of destabilizing. That's why Traore is fighting all these terrorists that are being financed by France. Okay, so even Victoria Nunen, before she retired, she tried to have a back channel negotiations with Ibrahim Traore. Traore turned him down and was like, you know what? Even the US have to leave. The United States cannot have their bases in Burkina Faso. They have to leave. Okay? And when they tried to threaten him, he called on Uncle Putin and said, hey, Putin, you going to help me do this or what? And they had to leave. Okay? So that's why I'm saying, if the Sahel nations if they succeed and become a global force, okay, I'm telling you, Africa will have the biggest pan-Africanist revolution that you've ever been witnessed in the world. So Burkina Faso and the Sahel nations are the standard now. People are watching them closely because a lot of countries, they're watching what's happening and they're scared. Ruto is scared because he's seeing what's happening. The colonial puppets are scared. That's why you hear them speaking against, the unconstitutional means by which Ibrahim Traore came in. But to me, it's not even about, forget the constitution. If you can have somebody who actually comes in and make things work, because Burkina Faso had a constitution. And guess what? The previous president did not care about it, So that argument again, is null and void. That's why I'm saying if Burkina Faso succeeds, I'm telling you, Africa, there'll be a tsunami. There'll be a revolution that we haven't witnessed before and will never witness ever. It will happen. It will be a sea of change, abrupt and quick, because most people will overthrow governments and kick out this colonialist, and we might have the Africa we need. That's why Ruto is in such a very tight place. Ruto, I'm telling you, the problem with Kenya is that I don't think Ruto is necessarily worried about Ruto's problems. I don't think they stem from just by the mere fact that, you know, Kenya is economically suffering. I think majority of Ruto's problems stem from him not getting along with other Kenyan oligarchs who are working in tandem, working with the people, you know, even though they have their different goals, but they're financing the uprising against Ruto, this protest and all this stuff. They do not have the same goals as what the Kenyan people want, but they just want Ruto out because they can't stand his guts, and they have their own personal battle of supremacy. Who can have the ultimate powers over Kenya? Who will be the biggest prefect or the biggest representative on behalf of the British monarchy? Because Kenyans, we are owned by the Brits, okay? Don't get it twisted. We are a corporation. The history of corporations starts with the British. But anyway, I'm not going to ramble on about this. All I'm saying is this, you know, while Kenyans are fighting Ruto because of his policy failure of governance, corruption, or tribalism and all that stuff, Ruto's number one problem is that he has crossed the very other oligarchs who he's fighting with for the supremacy of Kenya. And they're doing so. These guys are doing so. These guys are the ones who are fueling all this popular people's protest. But in the end, they're looking to overthrow Ruto, not so that Kenyan can be a constitutional democracy that we do have, not that so we can have an equitable society. They want to remove Ruto so that they can place their own preferred, stooge that they can work with, so that they can continue a history of corruption, murder, all that stuff. This corrupt system. Okay, so that's why I urge the Kenyan people to be careful as to all these rich folks who are known to have profited from this corrupt system, coming in 2025 with a nice suit telling us that they want to run for president, or they're there to fight for our causes and all that stuff. Well, we know that's why I can't stand people like Martha Karua pretending in 2025. We are old enough to remember how you are in 2007. None of that stuff you are saying now, you are saying then. You are the number one person who took part of that rigging that ended up causing more than 2,000 lives lost. So when these guys come in 2025, telling us about their whole manifesto and their political bullshit, we should tell them in their faces, fuck off, go find a rope somewhere and hang yourself. And while you're at it, do so with your whole family so that that bloodline can vanish. We don't want to see you anywhere near power in Kenya. We, the people, let us be the people who decide who we want to govern, how we want to govern ourselves. We don't want individuals coming up and telling us, oh, tialala, tibim, tabam, tubum. No, they can all fuck off. So that's what I'm saying. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends and comrades, it's been a while. I will talk to you guys probably tomorrow evening. I will leave it here. Thank you, Gypsy Connor, for coming in late. But thank you so much, Francis Irungu, Atticus, and all of you who have been watching this all along and who are going to watch this on repeat. My name is Kenyan Revolutionary. I will be back with some more as things continue to happen. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, comment, do all that good stuff, and put your notification on so that next time I come in, you can join me on the studio so we can talk politics, debate, discuss, exchange ideas so forth, so forth. Educate each other on all this wonderful stuff. We have to be free as Kenyans. We have to be free as Africans. We have to be free. There's no other. Give me liberty or give me death. I think Thomas Paine said that. Give me liberty or give me death. He meant it. And that's what led them to remove the red coats. Unfortunately, the red coats came back in another version, but that's a story for another day. Just do me a favor, okay? Hit that subscribe button, hit that like, subscribe, put that notification on, okay? And if you're going to watch this repeat, do the same. My name is Kenyan Revolutionary. I'll see you next time. Peace and blessings. I'm out.